You're listening to the Kelly+Partners Investment Office Podcast, where you'll hear directly from some of Australia's leading CEOs of private companies that are in a high growth phase where we've taken an investment position. Welcome to the Kelly+Partners Investment Office Podcast, where we get the senior leaders of the investee companies that at Kelly+Partners Special Opportunity Fund number 2 we've invested in. And today we're very lucky to have Alex Teoh, the co-founder and CEO of Mint Payments, with us. Good afternoon, Alex.
Hi, Brett. How are you?
Mate, I'm really well, and I'm joined by our Chief Investment Officer, Anoop Kalra. How are you, Anoop?
Good, thanks, Brett. Hi, Alex.
Hey, how you going?
Good, thank you.
Mate, it's always good to start at the beginning, which is where we ask you, where did you grow up? What are your sort of personal background and business journey that led you to founding this business?
Oh wow! I mean, just this business. It's been a while. It's been an interesting journey, that's for sure. Anoop knows most of that about that journey, but sometimes I have to pinch myself and say, "Geez, I'm still in the payments." They do say that once you're in payments, it's hard to get out of the payments industry. And I think if I ever did something other than me, it'll probably be in payments anyway. So I do enjoy what I do. But look, my background, I was a management consultant, sort of like But straight out of uni, I did a technology and a finance degree at New South Wales Uni. Was really excited about was working for people and working for consulting companies and try to think that I know more than others. And clearly it wasn't the case as a fresh grad. but I guess my background's in consulting. I like talking to people, solving problems, and it's more on the technology consulting side of the business. And I suppose the first idea was I was probably working there for about 4 or 5 years, and one of our clients was Telstra, and Telstra really had a mobile payment solution that they wanted to bring to market, which was they had a bank terminal on one hand and a PDA on one hand, and it just didn't talk together. And I thought to myself, look, there must be an easier way of collecting payments on a mobile phone, because everything was moving to a mobility standpoint. And my brother and I decided to sort of leave just had a look at it a little bit more. You can build applications on mobile phones and connecting it to a payment gateway. And that's how Mint started in the end. It was using a platform that small businesses was using ubiquitously over a mobile phone, and building a payment gateway or an application on a phone so that they could take credit card payments on the fly. And we found that, even back in 2007, when we started, the banks made it really challenging for businesses to just apply for a merchant facility or a banking terminal or payment terminal, even though they're using the payment terminal to collect the payments from the customer and giving it to the bank.
I remember when we started, right? When we started the business in 2006, and I'd published a book in 1998. So I remember trying to get a merchant facility in 1998. I think at that point I got a clicker. They sent me the clicker.
Yeah.
So that was difficult. And then when I started this business in 2006, it was electronic, but it was no less difficult. And I always thought that thought you just shared, Alex, which was, I'm just trying to collect money. Like, why would you make that so hard? Like I'm not taking any money off you, but there it is.
Absolutely. And that was the biggest issue. And I said, look, there has to be a much easier way of doing this. I mean, you're not lending money, you're actually collecting money. So that's how it started. I mean, it's really where, and I think this is where some great fintech started globally as well. Like, the banks have made it so hard and much more challenging. And what we're seeing over the last 15 years has been, constant disruption, whether you're in lending, deposits, payments, FX, just a complete, disruption in those sectors. So look, my brother and I co-founded the business in 2007. We started off as a mobile payments business. We built the tech together. I mean, look, the challenges over the last 13 years has been definitely lots of different challenges. I think the first one was definitely having the banks sort of shut you out of the banking networks. But I think through time we persisted and we broke through it, which was obviously laid the foundation of the technology platforms and the business that we've built today, essentially. Yeah.
And Alex, in the end, you decided to kind of focus on the travel vertical.
That's right.
It was probably 2017, 2018 that you kind of said, okay, travel's where we're going to be. It makes sense, because they're relatively big ticket items and there were some technical advantages or integrations that you needed into the global booking systems. And so there were some more barriers to entry than would be, trying to service the coffee shop around the corner. And you're going down that path reasonably well. And then lo and behold, the pandemic hit us and you've had a pretty challenging time over the last couple of years. I think the thing that really got me excited with how you've actually progressed over the last couple of years is the customer base that you've built up over that time. And, you've publicly said that you've won, Hello World, which is, circa 40% of the travel agent market in Australia, and also bits of Flight Centre, as well as other independent kind of travel agents. Can you help us understand why these people selected Mint Payments? What is unique about Mint?
Yeah, and sort of why travel and why select you?
Yeah, no, look, good. Look, and I might just spend just a small amount of time. Like, when we built this technology platform, we wanted to build for scale and, and we be compliant. So the early part of Mint built the platform, white labeled it to a whole bunch of banks and did all that. How we felt in 2018 was we were still one step away from the customer, and it didn't give us much control in terms of being able to, hey, look, how do we monetize and then scale this platform by going direct? So you look at some of the bigger, many successful payment companies globally, they're going direct. They're not going through a channel partnership. Then we started looking at, I guess to your question, Brett, like why travel? When we looked at, lots of different payment players globally right now, some of them are generalists. One of my board directors, Bill Barty, gave me some advice. He said, he's American. He goes, Alex, what you could do is that, if you can find a niche market, a vertical market that you can find, provide a great value proposition to that market, you can actually control and become a monopoly player. And I thought, okay, let's look at that a bit, and then let's unpack that a little bit more. And I said, look, when we look at travel is a $1 trillion market globally. I mean, pre-pandemic, it was growing, people were going offline, online travel. In Australia, it's a $20 billion market. There's 3,000 travel agents in Australia right now, and they're processing $20 billion of transaction value. So that's a fairly big market. And the ticket sizes were, an average ticket size of that was $1,500 per travel agent, per ticket. Whereas you go to sell to a coffee shop or retailer, it's $15 or $20 per ticket. Mint's business model is we make a percentage of every transaction that goes through our network, whether you make 1.5% on a $15 coffee or meal, or $1,500 is the same economics. We looked at travel as a big market, and we looked at some of the challenges in the travel market.
Yeah, it's a complex, grindy market. For our listeners, I think would appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's what happens with the travel is that there's lots of travel agents. They're all very fragmented as well. They're using lots of big systems. They're using booking systems. They're using invoicing systems. They're connected to all the different airlines. It's very complicated and fragmented. What we did started off in 2018 is we integrated with one of the bigger corporate travel agents mid-office systems called Tramada, and that gave us access to 300 travel agents, corporate travel agents. That's how we started getting into the corporate travel management, corporate traveler, part of the Flight Centre group, and started understanding a little more about what they were looking for and what their pain points are. Some of the smaller travel agents, the banks just didn't want to deal with them because there's some high level risk exposure there as well. So we found a way of mitigating some of the risk by offloading some of that with a couple of insurance products. So it wasn't an idea that we said, look, I guess back to your question, we looked at a big market, we looked at fragmentation, we looked at, what are inefficiencies in the market, our banks and current payment providers servicing that market, because we didn't want to go head to head and fight against a bank, Commonwealth Bank or a Westpac. We wanted to find a market that was fairly ignored but misunderstood as well.
Yeah, so large, growing, complex, misunderstood, underserviced.
Yeah.
Your director's right about, winning a niche It's deep, and it's, people think a niche, they think small, but this is a monstrous market. The other one that's really interesting is like Constellation Software sort of is a Canadian group, by vertical market software companies, and they've been incredibly successful by sort of identifying the sort of, depth of what a vertical market software player can do, which is sort of the way I think about you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Notwithstanding that it's payments. So what's the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan? What excites you, and what's the sort of compelling vision that you share with the people and suppliers and other stakeholders that you're seeking to be involved with the business?
Since 2018, and we had a couple of years off between 2020 and 2022. I mean, effectively, we've only been in travel we've been in travel for 4 years, working in travel for 4 years. For all those reasons I mentioned earlier as well, I know that's why Hello World and Flight Centre picked us, because we found a way of connecting to their systems and then also servicing their wider market as well. So, pre-COVID times, we were transacting about $800 million in total transaction value, and about 70% of that was on travel. So obviously from COVID, it basically went from $600 to $650 million in TTV to basically zero, effectively. So that's the impact of COVID for our business. But during that time, Brett, what we did was we actually had about 5% of the travel market, which is roughly around 300 travel agents. Today, we've got close to 1,000 travel agents connected to our network or have to sign up for Mint. So if you look at it this way, I mean, some of the results we're seeing now is that we're getting daily records being broken on our TTV. And when I speak to you next week, I will share you with some of those numbers. But it's been really great to see the recovery in travel coming out now as well. I think we're growing 45% month on month. It's just been great. I'm just so pleased, because I think the last 2 years have been hell, but this has been a great. There are many times where I just look at this.
Alex, some people don't think hell exists.
Yeah, but yeah, look, we've been through a lot, but I think we believe in our strategy, and the strategy of the business is to really own as much of that vertical as much as we can. So I'll give you. You asked me about what my 5 to 10 year plan is. So we're on the journey. We're part of, at least part of this next 2 year plan, at least, is we've got at least 26% or 28% of the market right now. With Hello World, we look to probably grow that to, circa 50% and above, because Hello World's not our only channel partner. And that's only on the customer acceptance part. So we basically help travel agents collect payments, credit card payments from their customers directly, online or offline. We're integrated to all the mid-office systems and booking systems. The next phase of growth is, and we've started that already, by helping travel agents pay their suppliers through EFT, bank transfers, and we're connected to all the suppliers in the network, like Royal Caribbean, Qantas, etc.
Yeah. We would use thousands of little niche suppliers in hundreds of locations.
Yeah, that's right. And we're going to introduce a new product called virtual card payment. So basically having the travel agent pay the supplier, international suppliers like a pensione in Italy or whatever, by using a virtual card, and we basically help the money flow from customer acceptance to paying their suppliers all through one platform. We process about $1 billion in volume right now, and we're making 100 basis points on the credit card side. We can make another 50 basis points on the other side. So that's really where we want to provide the efficiency, the benefit for the travel agent, make it work easy for them, and also obviously monetize more of the size of the wallet that comes through our network.
Yeah, I liked it. Like when Anoop found you guys and was talking to me about it, I can remember exactly where I was standing when I first heard about it. And
all right.
And I said, it's contrarian given the timing, but also I said, depth in a shallow world. Being deep and very, your team very much understanding a space and getting to know people and know the network and for us, a client to know that they're dealing with people that understand who they are, the challenges that they really face in their business. We love Jim Collins' book, Good to Great.
I've read that. Great book.
Great. Sort of talks about a flywheel effect. And as I hear you talking, I can see that the business is building up that flywheel as travel recovers. I think you'll see a real acceleration. And you talk about one side of the flywheel being mission driven, the other side being resource driven. And as you get that right, I think your clients will, helping travel agents, on the mission side and resourcing that over the top. It's very, very exciting.
Yeah, and you're right, Brett. I mean, I love that book too. I remember reading it in Bali when I was there. I was sticking notepads on it, saying, I got the flywheel effect. That's exactly what we're going to do. Because we were doing lots of too many things back then in admin. And then we just narrowed our focus. Now we've got this repeatable sales process. We just know exactly how much a travel agent's worth, how to win a travel agent. What do we need? What do they need? And everyone, I mean, we got lots of conferences together. People do recognize me. Oh, you're the travel guy. You're the travel payment guys. So it's that brand recognition that we're trying to build. And but we want to make sure that we're sort of like probably about 30-40% of the way to that 5-year plan. But we just want to make sure we try to dominate the Australian New Zealand market. But what we're doing is also transferable in other markets as well. Like in the US, it's even worse than what we have over here.
Yeah, totally. They're still using paper and pen. So in many industries, and like in our industry and your industry, there, 50 states, 50 countries, 50, lots of, really very, very interesting. So in terms of gathering your people, in tech companies, big challenge, you're competing against people like Amazon and Google to get smart people. What, how do you think about a proposition for your people, that's different and aligns, with their needs and is attractive in this market?
Oh, look, I mean, it's probably the most topical issue today in terms of retention of talent, especially around the tech side. And I think it's definitely much more consummate in the fact that the borders were closed. You didn't have many, overseas workers coming through. That's a definitely talent pool that's probably not there that's servicing this market. So look, I guess what we've done is that we've got we do want our employees to have a sense of ownership in the business. So we've got a very attractive share plan here that most of our top execs have bought into as well. I've got some really great people right across the board in sales and marketing, really good CFO. From a tech perspective, that's probably, I think definitely the most challenging area where we need to sort of like make sure we retain the people there. Look, I mean, if I can give a practical example, I mean, without naming names, we had a couple of people, one really important staff looking to leave us recently as well. And, for a much bigger paycheck and for a much bigger company than we are. But they decided in the last minute to stay with us. I think I try to treat everyone like family in a sense. I want, there's a sense of belonging there as well. And he said to me, look, he rang me, he said, I'm undecided. I really want to stay with you, but they're paying me a lot more. They're paying my healthcare, all that sort of stuff. I said, look, but he said he wants to stay with me only because he believes in our journey. He believes that what we're doing, that he's getting involved in some exciting stuff with Hello World and everything. He likes what he does. He also believes when he sees the numbers, month-to-month growth. Everyone they get excited by the TTV growth. Everyone just refreshes it F5 all the time to see how the transactions come through. And I think people like to feel that, okay, their work is being valued and it can actually result in growth. That's your target. If you want to grow at 20%, but you're killing it at 40% a month. I think eventually the people that stuck with me or admin is that they say, okay, they understand the vision, they understand the 2-year journey, and they can see results at the end of it, especially coming out of COVID. So,
Yeah, I think you're just like Alex, I think you're spot on. Like people want to be part of a winning team. They want to feel like making progress. It's one thing to work for a paycheck. It's another thing to work where you're learning and you're making progress,
So look, I mean, I'll be honest. I think if he had left, it would gut us. It would be terrible. It would be terrible for us. But when he decided to stay, I felt really good because it's working. Because people are staying because of other things than a paycheck.
Yeah, which is great. Hey, I appreciate your time today. At the end of all of these interviews, I always ask people: is there a motto or a quote or thought that most sort of summarizes your approach to life? You got a bit of a mantra? How do you think about things?
Oh, look, I'm not one for big quotes and all that sort of stuff. I probably remember it, but look, I think for me, it's like, for me, I've always said to my team as well, let's just be honest and honest with each other, and I think as long as we're honest and we can have fun, I think that's all I can ask for, because I think, you just conduct yourself with, integrity, and you respect each other mutually, you respect each other. I think this is what everyone wants. I mean, you want to be respected as well as you want to give respect as well. I think customers, suppliers, they all see that. They don't want bullshit, basically.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I feel I'd much rather you be straight down the line and honest with them. And incredibly pleased to see how you guys have progressed through a really difficult situation. I always think it's good for a business to have early on a little bit of challenge. It seems it either breaks people or strengthens them. And I think you'll have the wind in your sail in terms of what comes next. So it's very, very exciting. Thanks, Brett.
And I want to say as well, I know it's been great. I've been always transparent with him about all the issues we've had, and he understood that as well. And I think, not just because you're just a shareholder, but I think we wouldn't be here without the support of our shareholders. Definitely. I mean, we've got some really, really good, strong shareholders that have been across the journey, and I've been honest and transparent what's worked and what hasn't worked. And they've been really supportive, which has always been really great for us as well.
I really appreciate it. Mate, thanks for your time today. And
no problem.
We're hoping to catch up with everyone every 6 months and hear how they're going and share that. So I'd like to always say at the end of these interviews, have a great day.
Thanks, Brett. You too. It's the weekend as well.
Friday afternoon. Thanks, Adrian. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Guys. Thank you for listening to the Kelly+Partners Investment Office Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show and found it informative and interesting to learn about our investee companies. If you love this episode, don't forget to follow us and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. As Brett says, have a great day.